Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks, another lockdown news roundup. I will be focusing a lot on the UK news, Prince Philip, Bill Gates again, and other UK news. Plus, stick around to the end as the last story I think is the most interesting. Now, the mainstream media in the UK now is completely unrelated, in my opinion, from actual news. It's just propaganda 24/7. It's as if the time before lockdowns never existed. That was a time when there were all kinds of news stories about all kinds of things. Now it's nothing but government mantra. Let's take a look. First up we have Prince Philip, who has become ill, gone to hospital. What's strange about this is that there really is no mention of that he supposedly got the jab about 5 weeks ago. This is not really mentioned in any of the articles, and the notion that the jab may be partly responsible is a complete no-no for the mainstream media to even entertain. Now, you have seen my numerous reports about care home outbreaks that have been happening over the last few weeks, some 3 to 5 weeks after the majority of the residents got the jab, which is of course another thing the mainstream media don't report on, but yep, no mention of that and no mention of Prince Philip and his jab of 5 weeks ago. And then we have Bill Gates again. I can't tell you how sick I am of seeing this guy's face every day in the news feed. Once again, telling everyone what they should be doing. Here he is on CBS. Oh, and surprise, surprise, he says third shot may be needed to combat new coronavirus variants. So he says, well, there you go, Superman who wants to save the world has spoken. Who would have thought that he would want you to have more jabs? And not content with that, he turned up yesterday again in an interview saying rich nations should shift entirely to synthetic beef. This is the guy who owns over half the farmland in the USA and has invested heavily in lab-grown synthetic meat companies, which he has boasted will make it back 10 times his investment. The cheek of this fecker. It's like Elon Musk coming out and saying all rich nations should ban all makes of cars apart from Tesla. He says, I do think all rich countries should move to 100% synthetic beef, he said. You can get used to the taste difference, and the claim is they are going to make it taste even better over time. Eventually, that green premium is modest enough that you can sort of change the behavior of people or use regulation to totally shift the demand. He's openly asking for regulations to shift demand, to stop people eating meat, so he can monopolize the market of his synthetic, fake, lab-grown meat. Guy's a complete megalomaniac. The title says it all. Really, synthetic meat investor Bill Gates calls for rich countries to shift entirely to synthetic meat. What else do we have? Well, here's a very typical bit of mainstream media propaganda from the Metro. When pubs could reopen and Target for life back to normal revealed. Now, later on in this video, I'll be getting into an intelligence army report. Well, I'll bring this up again, but what you see here is the partnership between the state and the media. This is the result of psychological behaviorists. There's many similar articles every day now in all kinds of different newspapers and online publications. It says here the plan for lifting lockdown in England could see pubs open in May and life broadly returning to normal by July. This is your classic carrot for all of the donkeys out there to follow. We see a montage of photographs, masked, miserable people on an escalator, on the underground, on the left-hand side, and on the other, the shiny, happy people in the sun, smiling women, holding loads of pints of beer. The good times are in reach. We can get back to normal. It's just over there. It's just out of reach. It's a target we all need to aim for. But it all depends on a successful vaccine rollout, of course. Like I said, the government behavioural insights team are responsible for this. There has to be a reward incentive promoted to the public in order to get you, the donkeys out there, to chase the carrot and get to that destination, which of course is the vaccine passport. Now, in other news in the UK today, we've got this. World's first COVID-19 study where people are infected with virus to begin in London, it says here, in a world first. Humans taking part in a COVID-19 study will be injected with the virus at a site on the fringe of the City of London. The UK's Research and Ethics Committee has approved a human challenge study where young and healthy participants are infected with the virus. Around 90 people will be selected between the ages of 18 and 30 for the study hosted in Whitechapel. It will be run by a clinical company, hVivo, a subsidiary of Open Orphan, the UK's Vaccine Task Force, Imperial College London and the Royal Free London NHS Foundation Trust are also helping to deliver the study. Government funding of around 33 million was given to the human challenge trial. Open Orphan is the only company and the UK the only country approved to do the human challenge trials. They say this is apparently to do with second generation vaccines. So why are they testing this age group? This age group is the least affected by the virus. So they say, obviously, they just must be planning on jabbing everyone for a long time to come, seeing that they are investing 33 million. It says here the volunteers will get 4,500 quid each, it says here. So now I was watching the UK column video today. It was on this morning, 1 o'clock, and they had this interesting piece in it about the army intelligence. An army intelligence document analysing vaccine hesitancy in the southwest of the UK. Now, going through the document, there is every detail possible. Different groups, it talks about why BAME people are hesitant. It talks about in the document how they expect to get a take-up of 85%. So this document is purely for the 15%. It has this page about anti-vax groups where it analyzes different groups and their assessed threat. And for example, we have the group Stand Up. It says here how many followers on Twitter they have. It states their assessed threat is low. It even mentions the Great Reopening and how there wasn't much take-up. It mentions a newspaper called The Light. Not familiar with it myself, but from what UK column said, it was a good newspaper that backed up whatever they said with facts and data, etc. So I'm going to take their word for it. Again, we have influence and 6.8k followers. Just on a side note, many have asked why don't I show how many subscribers I have on YouTube. Well, I have it set in the settings as to keep it hidden. And when you see this, you can see why I did that. For those who keep asking how many subscribers I've got on YouTube, I've got roughly the same as UK Columns channel. Anyhow, about the Light newspaper, it says here intent. And it says that the Light spread malinformation about CV19 and the UK government. Malinformation, spreading malinformation. What is malinformation? So it says here that you have disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. Misinformation and disinformation is the information that is false. The slight difference between the two is the intent of it. And then we have malinformation, which it states here is information that is based on reality but used to inflict harm on a person, organisation, or country. So what they are accusing, say for example here with the Light newspaper, of which they state is spreading malinformation, basically they're not accusing them of lying, they're not accusing them of spreading false information or disinformation, but just at spreading information that is true, but makes the government look bad. So it doesn't matter now what the truth is. The government can lie, they can spin stories, and you, say, as a journalist, report on these lies, and well now, that makes the government look bad. So therefore, you are now an enemy, and now army intelligence will see you as a threat. That's interesting, isn't it? Then we have this page, which again analyzes the different social vectors and how to motivate the public into getting the jab. We see access to information at the top. Their main concern is social media. They see that impact as moderate, and their answer to that is to reduce social media platforms. They say anti-vax, but I would imagine it is anyone who is negative of the government now. They have lockdown fatigue, and their answer to that is motivate the public to get the vaccine, and how? Greater emphasis in media campaigns. There's also mention of the use of influencers, etc. Then we have this page over on the left in yellow. We see it says vectors likely to increase uptake, and we see incentives. Show Vax card to go shopping on holiday, get a discount, and emphasize vaccinations as being a route to a return to a more normal life. Remember the news article earlier? Look, get back to the pub. Normal life awaits you if you follow the rules. You remember that? And you have to ask yourself, why are Army intelligence, why are they so bothered to go to all this trouble to get Army intelligence to focus on vaccine hesitancy, when we all know the stats of how much the risk of the virus is to the majority of people? It seems here that if you don't take the jab, or you're not wanting to take the jab, the Army are very curious to know why, as they now see you as a perceived threat. You'll see more of that on today's edition of UK Column, which their video again I highly recommend. They back up everything that they say. Now, that last story to me is a real eye-opener as to what is going on here. And I've said many a time, you need to know what side of the road you are on. Like I said in the video earlier, the public, the Mr. and Mrs. Normal, who believe everything they are told, who are following the yellow brick road, who think everything is going to go back to normal if they follow the yellow brick road, and are continually being promised with these constant daily articles intended to do just that, to emphasize a return to normal. They believe that that is going to happen. They are going to be in for some shock, some disappointment, because it's pretty clear that is not the way it's going to happen. Just from a financial position, the damage is done. It's not going to go back to normal. And as can be seen with today's story of Bill Gates saying, oh, you will have a third jab, it's clear it's never going to end once you go down that road. It will just keep going. Once you give in to someone who gives you ultimatums, who stops you from doing things in order to coerce you to do what they want, it just never ends. They will do it over and over again, because if it worked once, it will work again. One positive out of this is those with their minds open, who haven't been spellbound by fear, who think for themselves, who constantly have asked questions, will find that they are mentally much more prepared. We haven't fallen for this narrative. We are not expecting everything to suddenly go back to normal. And the more mentally prepared you are, the less effect it's going to have. So effectively, we will be in a stronger position, whatever happens. As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to hugotalks.com. It's the only place where I get to keep the subscribers. If I get cancelled on YouTube, boom, all the subscribers are going to be gone. So if you're going to subscribe, please do it at hugotalks.com, so I will be able to keep you up to date with my videos. And I'll see you later. See you tomorrow.